Hi, welcome to Turnstyle's Mission Complete, the show where we give our extended thoughts and opinions on the games we just played. Hopefully you just finished watching our review of the Demon's Souls remake. I was the writer of that review. My name is Sam Kingma, and joining me is my co-host and good friend, Tom Chapman. Tom, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Our favorite and only podcast series as of now, but I will ask you, is there something very cathartic about coming to Mission Complete after cranking out some great content on a game? You're in the world and now you can just let everything out. You can just let it dissipate.
Yes, so I want to start off by saying that my life was genuinely consumed by Demon's Souls. In a way in which a game has not grabbed me since the original Dark Souls. I didn't want to put too much of the. There's a lot of Souls comparison in the review, and I had to stop myself from putting more in, because to me the Souls games, as in the greater Souls genre as it's kind of become to known as, is just really interesting to me. I like the general mechanics, and I like seeing what development teams take from software and what they change and why they make those changes. And it's just a very comfy style of game for me, which some would say is very masochistic to say, but whatever. Those games are fun. And it was great going back to play kind of the one that started it all, the OG, if you will, and looking so nice and great.
To illustrate it, you worked on not just a review, but a beginner's guide, a pretty thorough beginner's guide for Demon's Souls. Overall,
which you've actually been using for your playthrough.
I picked up the PS3 version. I'm the scrub with no PS5 as of now. Sam's the PS5 guy.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's very effective. But it's also, you played 4 full playthroughs of this game before reviewing it.
Yes. So so I mentioned in the review a kind of a throwaway line that I played through 4 playthroughs and I got the platinum. I played through it 4 times because I needed that for the platinum. Even though I'm not normally a platinum hunter, for the record, I just saw the trophies list and said, "Oh, I can do that."
See, with Miles Morales, I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of the thing is with a game like Miles Morales is you have to do a lot of you have to play a lot of game to get one trophy. You have to play the whole game again on New Game Plus.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a big ask, especially when you don't really have to do anything else. Where with Demon's Souls, kind of the benefit of going for the platinum is it lets you try different builds. And in fact, you need to try different builds because some of the trophies are just not possible with certain builds. The one I had a bit of trouble on that I was able to do just because my DPS was so strong was of the 37 trophies, about 8 of them are kill the boss in some alternate way. And the archdemon of Valley of Defilement is Maiden Estrella, and she has this bodyguard named Garl Vinland, who normally you beat him, and he's just a regular NPC that you just fight, and then you go to talk to Maiden Estrella, and she just dies, and then you get the Demon Soul. You get a trophy for killing her without killing Garl Vinland, and that is very, very tough.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of
he is on your ass.
Yeah, because in some ways you made the game seem easier than maybe perhaps the other games of the series. Are there moments where it's the Souls difficulty bears its head?
At Flame Lurker. Flame Lurker is the big one. I pointed out in the review too that I say I had no trouble with any of the bosses except for one, and it was Flame Lurker. Flame Lurker, although I had issues with Flame Lurker because his primary he has multiple attacks that hit in an AoE, and that AoE is sus, very very sus, and it just that fight pisses me off because you can't if you roll out of the way even with the fast roll, you can't get any retaliation hits in because his animation is done. So that fight's annoying. It's just an annoying fight. Once you learn the trick to it, which it's just you have to just constantly be backing up from him at all times and then get 1 or 2 hits in when you can. Once you do that, I beat him no problem. And he doesn't really give me trouble anymore. But yeah, my first playthrough, he was definitely a roadblock for me. But he was the only roadblock because I broke Demon's Souls progression in my first playthrough, which I think is interesting because Demon's Souls is a game they want you to play in like basically once you beat World 1-1, the entire rest of the game is unlocked to you. You can go to Stonefang Tunnel, you can go to Tower of Latria, you can go to Shrine of Storms, you can go to Valley of Defilement. And if you want to beat the rest of World 1, after 1-2, you get blocked. And you need to beat an Archdemon in order to unlock the rest of in 1-3 and 1-4, which are like the intended final areas of the game, so to speak. And with how I played Demon's Souls, I played it very linearly. I played as far as I could in 1-1, 1-2. Then I did a good chunk of World 2, got stuck at Flame Lurker, did 3-1, went back to World 2, wrapped up Flame Lurker, then beat Dragon got immediately. Then I had unlocked 1-3 and 1-4, and I'm like, well, I'm going to go do that now. Not really thinking that it was like the end game area. And I beat Penetrator on my first try, and then I waltzed right into King Alant, or False King Alant, the final boss, the fake out boss, but whatever. You fight him, and he's supposed to be hard. He's like the ape. He's the climax of the game, and I beat him on my first try. He was fucking pathetic because compared to Bloodborne and compared to Dark Souls 3, which the enemies are always kidding you with like these. They're doing like combo, like Sister Fried's doing fucking combo strings on you in DS3. You have Dark Eater Madir who has a ton of health. The really, really, really hard bosses from the later Souls games. They just don't compare. Like, they just do not compare. So to me, who has 216, 20 hours in Dark Souls 3, and who has like 60 hours in Bloodborne, who has over 180 hours or 165 in Dark Souls 1, Demon's Souls was pretty easy for me. But the levels, I think, are much more challenging because you have to do the whole thing. You have to get through the level and beat the boss, which the way healing works, because everything's done with consumables and you get a ton of them throughout the game. Like it is totally reasonable to be completely maxed out on your healing before the end of your first playthrough. Just because like they give you so many.
Yeah, I will say, like, even though I'm barely into it, that's one of my favorite things about Demon's Souls is the myriad of healing options you're given as to maybe prevent those retreads and backtracking that you normally would have to do in every other Souls game. But because the levels are longer, each death you feel more punishing, especially when my loading times are probably 10 times longer than yours.
Oh, for sure, dude, for sure. And also what's really nice too is that it's just easy to farm the health. Like I in the beginner's guide, I point out a place where you can get half and late moongrass pretty like very, very easily and very, very quickly. But once you unlock 1-3, every single enemy feels like drops multiple full moon grasses, which are going to be what you use once your health gets beyond like the 800 mark. That's going to be like your primary source of healing. And in the original Demon's Souls, which you're playing, you can carry up to 99 of everything.
It's not the case in the new one?
In the remake, yeah. So they capped it to 50 for Crescent Moongrass and Half Moongrass. And then for Late Moongrass and Full Moongrass, it's 25. And then for Dark Moongrass and New Moongrass, which are just like full heals. Like it just heals your entire health bar. It's like the full restore equivalent. And here's your status effect, so it really is a fucking full restore from Pokemon. Those you can only carry 10 of in the remake. And they weigh a ton, which is how they balance it out. Because this is the only Souls game that I know of to have an item burden, along with an equip burden, which is kind of weird. This is one of the changes they made, which I don't know how I feel about. You're able to send whatever's in your inventory to your storage at literally any time. You don't have to directly speak to Stockpile Thomas. I did anyways, and just made a habit of it just because I played, I started with the original game, so I just wasn't thinking about it. But no, like, the moment your inventory's full, you can just go through and just, like, send whatever you need to storage. Which is convenient. It just makes me wonder, like, why didn't we just remove the item encumbrance anyways? But I guess that would mean too many people would carry, like, too many healing items, and it would kind of be unbalanced.
Yeah,
but
what about the remake? Like, I don't know how to situate, because I'm playing the original, and I think it's pretty good looking, honestly. I'm actually pretty impressed by this 2009 PS3 game. what does Bluepoint's version of this game like add? I know you made a review, but do you have any more thoughts that weren't in the review to like expand upon?
Yeah, I wanted to highlight a couple more specific criticisms on like I think the failings of some of the art direction and aesthetic changes. Because I say in the review that like a majority of the shit like I have no problem with. I think like because I saw people were like bitching about like Maiden in Black. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. Like they're the fucking same. Like they are literally the fucking same.
Well, fans, they're gonna every minute detail.
Well, also, but because Tom, let me remind you that in fucking 2018 we got Dark Souls Remastered, which I am not fucking shitting you, is the same game again. It is the same game, like on PC specifically, with DS fix. The only difference, the only two things, was that number one, the online works. Like they fixed some like just bugs that just made some aspects of the online just not work. And two, they fixed it so you can actually slide down ladders and not clip through the fucking world. Like those are the only two things I can tell you. I've played 80 hours of Dark Souls 1 with DS fix on PC, and then the other like 90 hours have been with remastered because it just replaced the original for me. But they're the same game. It's the same game. And I don't want the same fucking game sold again to me for $70. Like, I want them to update shit. And like, I just know that I'm not going to be happy with every single change. But there are a couple I think they really dropped the fucking ball on. The big one is, to me, is Maneater, which when I initially saw the design, I'm like, okay, it looks kind of weird. They did a lot of shit where it's like, where they do a lot to like kind of humanize a lot of the like more monstrous looking enemies. It's the worst with Maneater. Because what I found out after taking a closer look and actually playing the Maneater boss fight for the first time, I realized, oh, wait a minute. This thing's supposed to be a manticore, and the face is a lion's face, and then it has a snake tail, and it has bat wings. It's supposed to be a manticore. And that's just not the case in the remake. It just does not get that across at all, and it doesn't make any sense. And it's probably like that boss fight's probably the worst fight in the game too, by the way, because it has like the most like 2009 jank. Because they didn't touch any of the game. They really didn't touch any of the gameplay stuff. As far as like the moment to moment control, really, I felt no different. Like I could go back between like Remake in 2009 Demon Souls and probably I'd have a pretty good time with both. There are just a couple of like quality of life changes in the remake that really just sell it for me as like the definitive experience.
And it just is gorgeous in a lot of ways, right? Like
yeah,
you talk
it just
about
looks
the lighting,
fucking great. Like, yeah, I highlighted the lighting specifically because it was the biggest shock to me. But, like, it's just such a good fucking game. It's just such a good looking fucking game. Like, even with all the aesthetic shit I can bitch about all day, and I still hate the fucking HUD. I don't like the HUD at all.
I love that point that you made. In the review, you talk about how, like, and Bluepoint does this. They just clean things out, like, make everything sleek and minimal. But like playing the first one, like I got what you're saying, because there's a charm, there's like an old world charm to the first Demon Souls HUD design and all of its text and
yeah, and like how it displays, like it always like tells you like what world you're in, and like it's always showing your world tendency, it's always showing your character tendency. It always shows your character tendency in the remake too. My mistake, but like that extra information's nice, and it looks like it's a part of the fucking game.
Yeah,
like that's my thing. Is like no, like we have to see the HUD. Like I think there's a big disconnect with I think a lot of people, and they want to be immersed versus like playing a real game, and you can do it right. Like Dead Space is like the prime example of like of how all the HUD elements are contextualized like actually in the game, and there really is no like HUD. But most games need a HUD because we need to display information. Just give it an aesthetic, make it look like it's a part of the experience. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it look like it's like, oh, don't worry about it. Like again, very minimalistic look, but it doesn't look like it's a part of the rest of the game.
Yeah,
and it's
the health bar, the stamina bar. They look like Microsoft PowerPoint like chart graphs. Like it's so bland.
and it's just I'm with you. It's very like that shit's like
Silicon
really
Valley like aesthetic to in this like horror like like
yeah, and like this fantasy, like this dark like high fantasy like horror game.
yeah. You
and,
got a
like,
chuckle out of me when the "You Died" font came up on the new one, and like it's just you're right. I mean it's a subtle thing. I know it doesn't really matter but like it's more of a trend that we're noticing more so that this specific game is awful for doing this.
Yeah, and I don't think it's like and here's the deal. I still say this is still I think the definitive way to play the game. And I'll say it right now. Here's the two reasons. Number one is the fucking loading screen, and no loading. Number two is teleporting, because you do a lot of fucking warping around in this game, more than I think. Dark Souls 3 might beat it, but just because all the worlds are separated, it's not an interconnected world. You teleport a lot, regardless, and the way the Archstones work in Demon Souls Original is you tap that Archstone and it gives you one option: return to the Nexus, yes or no. So anytime you want to do something in Demon Souls, let's just say you're in Boletarian Palace and you want to go to Shrine of Storms, you have to warp back to the Nexus, wait for a loading screen, and then warp to Shrine of Storms. And what's even worse is if you want to reload the area. So let's just say you wanted to farm grass at the Inner Ward Archstone after you beat Tower Knight, which is the place I highlight in our beginner's guide. In the original game, if you want to do that, which I did, I found that that farming spot just on my own. Just figured was like, hey, these guys always drop half moon grasses, and I'm always get 4, and it takes like a minute to do. But it was way longer. Because not only did I have to wait a little longer because it was the PS3 version, and granted I was emulating it, so it was still pretty fucking fast, but it was still like a couple seconds slower than the PS5. But every time I would go to the Archstone, I would have to go back to the Nexus, go back to the Boletarian Archstone, and go back to the Warp Point, where now you can just reload individual areas, resetting all the enemies, which makes grinding super fucking easy now, and like way less of a pain in the ass. Which, by the way, can I make a complaint about Demon Souls?
Yeah.
Because we're gonna get into some because here's the deal. We gave this game a 9. I totally fucking stand by that 9. There's just some stuff in this game as like a Souls fan, as like just a fan of like the later Souls games that like do irk me a bit about this game. And one of them is that like I feel like regardless of whatever build you do, you're gonna have to grind for some material. Because there are, no joke, like 10 or 11 different materials to farm that upgrade your weapons. There's hardstone, sharpstone, clear stone, moonstone, faint stone, like all that moon shard, like all this shit, right? Spread across the 5 worlds. And some of the upgrading farming shit, the shards, chunks, in pure, can be gotten really easily. They can gotten through the crystal lizards, which I believe respawn now indefinitely until you kill them the max amount of times. I don't think they do that in the original game. I could be wrong on that though. But you do all this, you have. But I feel like regardless of whatever you play, there's going to be a weapon you want or that's required for your build that you're going to need to farm for upgrade materials, and it always like stops my playthrough like right in its tracks. It's like BRB, I gotta go do this for like 10 minutes, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And when your game's like 6 hours, like 5-6 hours long, and or like 7 to 8 has been my average playtime now. After my first playthrough, I beat it in about 7-8 hours. Like when a good chunk of that is spent like grinding for like one specific thing, like that kind of sucks.
But luckily, the loading screen, the PS5 tech makes it a little bit probably more manageable.
Yeah, the fast loading is super fucking helpful.
The warping
and the fix to warping, like it's so minute, dude. It's like such a small little thing to be gushing about, but it really like it does a lot, dude, to affect the game experience. Like the fact that you only have to wait like 4 seconds to load back in after like death or between warps. You know what that means, Tom? It means I'm not checking my fucking phone.
Oh, the ultimate hollowing.
Yes, right? Like like nothing, like dude, I played Bloodborne at launch. The load screens, no joke, were 45 seconds to a minute long.
They're long now. I mean, they're
still fucking long. I mean, granted, I've not played Bloodborne yet on PS5 because I want to. Because it's not the fucking. It's still capped at 30, which makes me so irate. But I'm sure the load times are improved somewhat in Bloodborne on PS5. I haven't checked, but yeah, no, that game was like really bad for a long time, and it got better, but still like. Again, like 20, 30 seconds. And like, yeah, I don't want to fucking sit on my ass and not do anything for them. Yeah, of course I'm going to pull up my phone, check whatever. And then you get distracted. And then again, that just takes you out of the game experience. Like, I feel like playing through Demon's Souls was like some of the most immersed I've been in a game because I wasn't checking my fucking phone all the time.
It's actually like, I think it's a really big point of like how a player engages with the Souls series when death is not as punishing from a purely like technical aspect. And it was funny, you contextualize it with the Dark Souls remastered, which I completely forgot about. And it really goes to show like how much better this is compared to that remake.
Like, I would much rather have like this from the ground up remake that where the essence of the control in the gameplay is the same, but it's aesthetically spruced up. And again, like, I can bitch all day about like shit I don't like that they changed. Like, I know a lot of people have issues with like the update to like the Tower of Latria specifically because it looks like a fucking Bloodborne level now, which that's a fair critique, but I think it looks fucking boring in the original game. Like, in the original game, it's fucking brown. Like, it's just a brown dingy prison. Now it's a dark green dingy prison.
Yeah.
And like, I still think a lot of this stuff looks good, and like, and I just appreciate like some of the added animations. Like, I do appreciate the fact that like lips and stuff move now. Yeah, like, they don't look great. It still looks kind of goofy, but I don't know. Like, Dark Souls, like the Souls series has always been fucking goofy to me.
It is.
Like, it's a weird mix of like really serious and sad shit, but also fucking hysterical, goofy nonsense. Like, all the ragdoll shit in Dark Souls 1 is hysterical.
Well, even in Demon's Souls, like, I don't know with the remake, but yeah, the ragdoll stuff, like, it's clearly intentionally, you know, reflexive in its own kind of, like, weird, goofy world.
It's gamey. It's fun. Like,
it's gamey. It is gamey, yeah.
This is why we play games. Like, I like gamey-ass video games, which is why I'm such a big fan of, like, all these Souls games. Because they're all, like, all their mechanics are, like, with the... all the mechanics of, like, Demon's Souls and Dark Souls are, like, to make you have like a really fun time with the actual like playing the game, and I just find it like I don't know, I really respect like what Bluepoint did. I think they did like a really great job, and yeah, like, again, not a perfect job. I think if you expect a remake to like completely completely invalidate like an original release, it's never gonna happen. There's always gonna be some reason to go back and play like Resident Evil on PS1 or what's another like big remake that like just came out?
Link's Awakening on
like Link's Awakening. Like, there's always going to be like reasonings to experience like the Game Boy like Color version of that game, even though like the Switch version's fun and I liked that version a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I just think like to me, like, Demon's Souls, Bluepoint's Demon's Souls is just another great Souls game for me to like rotate in and out of like games I want to go back to when I want to have a good time. And the reason why it's fun to go back and do Demon's Souls, and why I'm not complaining about doing 4 playthroughs, is because you're able to, like, the builds are so cool in Demon's Souls. The shit you can do in Demon's Souls is so good. And in my opinion, the build flexibility you have in Demon's Souls is fucking leagues better than Dark Souls. Like, actually,
this partly better. Like, and maybe I'm getting this wrong, but like in your review, it's like you talk about like half-baked, not as much content, too easy, but this part of the game, the build flexibility, seems to be what kept it at the 9 that it's at, like at this high
let me be clear. This game was gonna get an 8. I finished my first playthrough and I'm like, this is an 8 because, all right, this is spoiler-filled podcast.
It's still good. It's still good. Like, it's a Souls game, but like it's not Dark Souls. It's not Demon's Souls. I mean, that's not Dark Souls 2, 3, or Bloodborne.
So,
like,
yeah, okay, real quick, actual spoilers for Demon's Souls. The true final boss of this game is a fake out. It's a joke fight. You basically fight you fight the real King of Land, and he's a fucking slug, and you just beat the shit out of him, and you beat the game.
Funny.
It's funny now, but on my first playthrough, I was pissed. I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" Because again, I beat the quote unquote actual final boss 4 hours ago, and then I was like I wasn't over leveled, but like I had really good equipment and power slammed all of World 4, the rest of World 3, all of World 4, and all of World 5 in like 3 hours. And that was my first time ever going through, ever going into World 4 or World 5, was with a maxed out like Morian Blade and Uchigatana when I got that in the start of World 4. But what I didn't realize is because I had that issue because I played the game relatively linearly. Where in reality, what they want you to do is they want you to play 1-1, and then you have the opening, but you could still do 1-2 reasonably easily. It's reasonable at the level you're at to do complete 1-2. It's not like you're challenging yourself by doing that. Necessarily. Like if you were to go to 1-3 early, like that's you're gonna get fucking one-shotted. Like you're gonna get 1 or 2 shotted. It's tough. But they really want you to like kind of jump back and forth and explore kind of all 5 of the worlds at the same time, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. They want you to constantly be jumping back and forth between the two. Because once I really thought about, hey, you can go anywhere, that means the available equipment for you to make for builds can be gotten super fucking fast. So as an example, so my second playthrough I did a mage build, and normally I don't really like magic at all in the Souls games. It's just not my preferred way to play, and especially on like first playthroughs and stuff, magic vendors can be hard to find. It's different in this game since there's only, once you beat 1-1, you have a miracle vendor and a magic vendor, and then you can save 2 other spell vendors in World 3, and then you have access to all the spells in the game with the right material. I was able to basically make my build for my mage in like 2 hours, like an hour and a half, 2 hours, like super quick. And 30 minutes of that, by the way, is playing through 1-1, which doesn't really change playthrough to playthrough. Your experience with 1-1 is always going to be the same. The only difference is whatever starting class you pick. Because once you leave Boletaria, like one piece of advice I left out of the review left out of the beginner's guide because I kind of figured it out way later, that you can get one of the actually like greatest weapons in the game, which is the Crescent Falchion +1 in the Shrine of Storms, like right away. Like basically all you need to do is just sprint to the weapon, pick it up, and then you just have it. And basically the Crescent Falchion does magic damage. It's split magic and physical. And there are so many enemies early on that are just weak to magic.
I'll have to write this down. I'll have to check back.
So you can do... because that was the weapon I primarily used. And also, too, Crescent Falchion gives you auto-regens your MP, too. Making it super useful with a primary mage build. Where, yeah, you want to have some melee capabilities, but mostly you're fighting at a distance. And then... the build like slowly went up, and then I was able to get the Crease Blade super fast. And again, like my build, I wasn't even like really focused on beating the bosses. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to Shrine of Storms to get this and this ring, and then this weapon, and then I'm gonna go to get the Crease Blade from Stonefang Tunnel, and like I would plan all my shit out, and then I would have this really fun build, and then I could play a majority of the game with it. Where like with Dark Souls 1. Like, you can't access the DLC early in Dark Souls 1 until you beat Ornstein and Smough. So, like, you have to beat at least, like, half the game before you can get any of the cool DLC weapons. You have to, a lot of infusions. You need to get these key items called coals that you give to the blacksmith, and then you can make different infusions. So you need both a gem to infuse, which are pretty rare, and they're hidden, and they're very stringent with how early you can get some certain infusions on your weapons. Where in Demon Souls, it's just not the case. Like you can just make your build like very quickly, And I just appreciate that as someone who plays these games over and over again because I like doing different builds and I like just playing the game in slightly different ways. It's just fun to me.
Yeah, I think it's important to say, like, you like the Souls series for its, like, playthrough malleability. Like, no playthrough is the same. You can beat the game on level 1, right? Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
What if, like, and you only briefly touched this in the review, like, how does, like, the story and lore, like, hold up in Demon Souls? Is it also more limited and open?
Yeah. So I'm gonna use this as a jumping off point to address the half baked criticism I kind of throw at Demon Souls, and I'll explain sort of where that sentiment comes from. With the lore specifically, just because I'm like newer to Demon Souls specifically, I'm not caught up on all the lore, but all the lore I do know is really fucking cool and really interesting. And what I love about the Souls series, so the From games specifically of the greater Souls genre, is that Souls-like genre, is that the lore has this like upwards. It's like walking an upward spiral where the more you get into the lore, the more you appreciate the level design and the little shit. So like, let me give you an example from Dark Souls, a piece I love. When you enter Anor Londo, which is probably like one of the series' like most iconic locales. Big castle, big orange sky. It's like the first time you see real fucking sun in the game. Really like amazing level, amazing world. Once you get to the main platform and you're about to enter the big castle, you walk up this ginormous staircase. And on the two sides of the ginormous staircase are smaller steps. And then in the middle, there's bigger steps. You walk up the fucking stairs the same, but the reason those bigger steps are there is because giants also lived here. So the level design is accommodating for both, like, people who were human-sized as well as people who were, like, giant-sized to walk and commute in Anor Londo. Obviously, this is a world far gone from when NPCs were just walking around, but the fact that little bit's there, and it's like, it just adds so much. It just makes the whole world feel so much more alive, because it's like, yeah, like this world's accounting for people walking on the fucking stairs, for the people that lived here. Like, it's such a little thing, but it's so cool. And Demon Souls, again, very similar with that kind of shit, where, like, it's a very well-known theory that Flame Lurker is quite possibly this third blacksmith character named the Big M, who is talked about in NPC dialogue that you'll probably skip over, if I'm being honest. Like, a lot of the NPC dialogue is like lore and like filler and fluff, but it just adds to the world, and it's just interesting. And the more you get into the lore, the more you appreciate the level design, the more you appreciate the game design, which appreciates the lore even more and makes certain boss fights way more impactful. Like, once you know the whole story of, like, Artorias and stuff in Dark Souls 1, like, the Sif fight is, like, way more fucking tragic. It's, like, way fucking sadder than that fight, like, already is. And I just always appreciate the Souls games for that. I wish, like, more games did that, where they really had this great synergy between, like, their actual narrative and the world and the mechanics of the actual game. But to address the half-baked criticism I throw in my review, because I know I didn't, I don't really address specifically. The reason I say it's half-baked is because this really feels like 2/3 of a Souls game. As in, like, you play Dark Souls 3 and you go to so many different locales, and there's so much different content, especially with the DLC thrown into. Really very additive to that game. You go to so many different places. There's so much different shit to do. It's like 30 fucking hours your first time through. Probably longer if you have never played a Souls game before. It's probably going to take you 45, 50. And then you play Demon Souls, and it's 5 worlds. 4 of those worlds are like 2 pieces of level, like are 2 level areas, and then the jump from 2-2 to 2-3 is just a fucking hallway. 4-2 to 4-3 is literally 5 steps. 5-2 to 5-3 has no enemies. It's you just roll down a cliff and you're at the boss. 3-4 2 to 3-3, you have to climb a tower, and there are enemies in the tower. However, the reason it's set up like that is because Old Monk is a PvP boss fight, and it takes a minute. It takes about like a minute to run up the stairs, which gives the game enough time to find a person to invade you for the fight. Does that make sense?
Interesting. Wait, so what happens in an offline version of the game?
Oh, you just fight the AI version of Old Monk.
Okay.
He plays like an NPC encounter in the game. I think he has magic. I think that's I think I did PvP for all of my playthroughs except for maybe one. I don't really quite remember. But he's easy. He's easy offline. But yeah, so like I just feel like on that aspect it's like you finish it, and then also like not having like a real final boss. Like I get it, that's the point. Like that is the point, to be like this fake out, and it is cool. But as someone who again like had a lot of, I wanted this game to be Dark Souls 0. Like I went into this game wanting it to be Dark Souls 0, thinking it was going to be Dark Souls 0, and it's not. It's Demon Souls. It's better than Dark Souls 0, I think, because it's more interesting. I think Demon Souls is significantly more interesting than like Dark Souls 3, and I fucking love Dark Souls 3. I think Dark Souls 3 is a way better game. But Dark Souls 3 is just like more Dark Souls, but with like not as good level design, but way better combat.
It's prey to like sequel-itis, like it's prey to that.
Yeah, and like, and people are always like, I always occasionally see people joke about like Dark Souls 4, and like, no, like Dark Souls 4 is not going to happen, because I played the DLC for Dark Souls 3, and you can see Miyazaki, like you can see him, you can visualize him running out of steam, like during the end of the second piece.
Well, they're doing
DLC,
Elden Ring, right?
Yeah, now they're working on Elden Ring, and they're working on other stuff now. That like Sekiro was awesome, and Sekiro isn't even a fucking Souls game. It's like a classic like PS2 action game. It fucking rules. It's a great game. And Elden Ring's going to be great too. It might play similar to Souls. Elden Ring might play similar to Souls. It might be hard, but I think it's going to be like a bit more of like an open world style game, I think is what they're doing. Which is also cool. Like, I'm excited for anything From Software does, because Miyazaki's a great director, and they have a great team, and they have great expectations for their game. Like, Sekiro was made on a budget of like $25 million, which is so cheap compared to like all these other fucking like so much money went in like Marvel's Avengers, dude. Like, so much fucking money went in that game. They didn't even make it fucking back. Where like Sekiro did extremely well because it was a low budget game, still looks fucking great and plays great, and it's a great game. And like that's why From Software I think is just successful, is because their games look good. Like you said yourself, like Demon Souls is not a bad looking game. Or 2009 Demon Souls, not a bad looking game, but it's just not like cutting edge, and that's okay. I think most games don't need to be cutting edge. I think very few games do need to be cutting edge.
Well, I say that just like, I'm sure if I pick and choose, like put my hand in the hat and grab 5 PS3 games from 2009, like they wouldn't hold up the same way that Demon Souls does.
I think that would probably be true. Yeah, because like I feel like there's a lot of like the aesthetics of Demon Souls do come from it being a PS3 game. I do genuinely believe that. But it's just because like that game has good art. Like the game just has good art and like cool models. And good gameplay. Like it like it's so incredible how much good gameplay makes a bad game like look better. It's wild. It's like, that's a weird statement to make, but
that's but that's an interesting statement. I mean, I guess this Mission Complete, it's almost like, it's like newsflash. The Souls games are good, like, right? Like this, no surprise, like Demon Souls is still a good game. If anything, the only risk was Bluepoint ruining it, which they have a pretty good track record of, making good remakes with Shadow Colossus. Like, and, of course there's little things you can nitpick with the remake, but that's how every remake's going to be. But
and I just think like on the whole, like it's a great game. It's just such a great fucking game. And
it's a game, right? Like it's a game.
Yes, thank you. It is a fucking great video game, and I love great video games. I feel like so many times, and what's cool too, and I state this at the end of the review, and I want it stated here too. Like, this never happens. Like you take like Demon Souls is truly like Demon Souls PS5 is like truly like a cutting edge game. Like is a cutting edge game in like graphics, in sound. I didn't really talk about the sound at all in the review, mostly because I'm not very musically. I can't really speak too intelligently on most music, nor would be able to say too much of the differences between the original soundtrack and the remake. Other than I liked the songs from the remake, they were fine. And you only hear music during bosses anyways. But the graphics are so good, and like the sound effects in level design is just so, or you know, all the aesthetic shit, all the graphics, you know, sound, all the controller shit, I think is great.
It's a showcase of the new hardware. Like it is what Sony's banking on to showcase the hardware on its exclusive title.
Yeah, but unlike most launch games for consoles, like you look, like let's even go back to the fucking PS4. Killzone Shadowfall is a genuinely great looking game. I still think that game looks fucking incredible. But there's just not that much to the game beyond it looks good. It's like a decent first person shooter that's kind of whatever and pretty forgettable, and you move on.
So you're saying for like a launch title for a new console, you never get this good of a video game.
You don't. You just don't. Like, and even like Miles Morales, which is a game we spoke very, very positively of, and we ended up giving it a 7, which is a very good score for us. And even that was just like it's a cool looking game, but also that game's kind of held back because that game was made on PS4, and I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. It wasn't held back because it also came out on PS4. It was primarily developed for PS4. That's why I'm saying that.
Yeah, it's not there. It's clearly not the intent to be the hallmark of next gen. You know, and I know the PS5 version does look better and uses ray tracing, but because it's cross gen. There's like a difference, I guess. There's like a difference in feel when you put it in.
Yeah, and again, and also too, like I cannot stress enough, like most of the dev time for that game was probably made as like a PS4 title.
Well, just probably builds right off of they just finished developing
Spider-Man and then moved on to it. Like that's what I assumed. That's mostly what I assumed, just based on the timeline. I could be wrong, but like there's like a difference in that sense between like the like graphical showcase of like Miles Morales versus like the graphical showcase.
You know, that's so funny to think about, like a launch title and like the launch window, and the main big exclusive game is a Souls game.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible.
Like this used to be, obviously not anymore, like this niche hardcore lore heavy like off-putting series that we would never get the hallmark like spotlight of a launch window, like of a launch title. Like that's crazy. Honestly, you're right. This doesn't happen. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, and really fucking enjoy this game. And I really do think, like, in my opinion, if you asked me, Sam, I really want to get into the Souls series, what is the definitive best game to start with? I would say Dark Souls, because it is the best one
to start with.
But Demon Souls is number 2. Like Demon Souls is like right under it. And it gives it a real run for its money, because I think this game is fucking easy. I'm gonna fucking say it. Yeah. I'm gonna say it. I think this game is not as hard as everyone says.
Well, you know, there's the thing, and this is something I go through, is like you have to learn the rhythms of the Souls series to be for any of them to be easy, you know. And then once you learn that rhythm, that changes everything. And you clearly have a fucking doctorate in the Souls rhythm. So like, it's easy, yes, sure, but like, you know, when you already have gone to school for it.
Very true. And that's why I say constantly throughout the review that like I am a Souls veteran, all that shit, because like my thoughts on this game are heavily tainted, because there's definitely been a lot of stuff in this recording where people are being like, man, that doesn't sound like a 9 out of 10 to me. No, like I'm bitching about the fucking font, bro. I'm bitching about the UI. I'm bitching about like the fuck that man-eater's face is fucked up.
We're talking about a series that has, you know, games that like are 10 out of 10 like masterpieces, right? Like that.
Yeah, again, like I'm like so many, like, and just again, like from track record, it's so good. Like again, Demon Souls is incredible. Dark Souls is like an actual 10 out of 10 masterpiece. No comment on Dark Souls 2. Like Bloodborne, a lot of people say is like a 10 out of 10. I love that game too. I just need to play it more. like Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 to me is like a 9. Like, we don't do points, but it would be like a 9.9 if I did a 100-point scale. It doesn't have the masterpiece quality that Dark Souls 1 does. It just doesn't have the level design to pull it together. But it's just what it lacks in level design, it makes up for in just being fucking fun.
Which is on its own right, like, you know, worthy of praise.
Yeah, and for many, and I've heard a lot of people who are big Souls fans genuinely be like, yeah, my favorite game is Dark Souls 3 because, again, a ton of viable, available builds and shit, and like a ton of great weapons, and like the DLC, like, really changes that fucking game, dude, because you can access it so early and get all these really fucking cool, like, technically endgame weapons early if you're good, and that makes the game just fun to play and replay. And also, too, like, I want to say this, like, I think of all the Souls games, this game I think this game has the lowest skill floor, as in, like, you, like, the quality of play you need to do in Demon Souls can be pretty low. Like, I think you can be not too good at video games, but beat Demon Souls. Because what you lack in skill, you can make up for in knowledge. Because let me tell you, Tom, no joke, almost a majority of bosses in this game have either are a gimmick fight or have some kind of trick to them or some general weakness that completely fucking invalidates them. I point out in our beginner's guide, I point out Phalanx, that if you use pine resin on your starting weapon, you win. You just win. Whereas if you don't use pine resin, you'll want to die. And that fight's stupid, and, like, I don't even know if it's beatable. But I mean, I'm sure it is. You just have to play it very specifically, but whatever. But, like, even that, or another good example is, like, Tower Knight. Like, Tower Knight, just take out all the archers first and then go fight him. So that way you're not getting trying to dodge arrows while you're also trying to dodge his attacks too. Or Maiden Estrella, like, you don't have to kill her, just kill Garl Vinland, who's very easy because you fight him like basically one-on-one. It's like an NPC encounter. And it's fucking free. Like, you can just do shit, or like equip the Thief's Ring in the fight with Old Hero, and he can't see you because he's blind. And it lets you get a ton of free hits on him. Like, shit like that's really cool, and it really makes the game interesting. And it makes it so it's like, oh, hey, I'm not that good, but I do have black pine resin, and then you can win.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, that's why, hey, if you haven't, I'm sure you have, if you're watching this, like, go watch the beginner's guide, the ultimate one.
Body approved.
That was body video approved, beginner's guide. Watch the review, because Sam kills it. It's a great review. It covers a lot, as obviously this covers way more, because it's 50 minutes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think, you're right, as a launch title, this is kind of unheard of, since, like, you know, Mario 64 or something, like.
Yeah, or like, it's wild. It's just wild. It's just so crazy to me that, like, it came out as well as it did. Because I was excited for the remake, but I was also the part of my back of my brain was unsure. Because, again, like,
we're cynical and jaded
we're both
remakes.
Yeah, we're both fucking cynical, like assholes. But also, too, like, every year a From Software game comes out, I always have to hear the fucking difficulty debate every fucking time. Yeah. I always have to hear about, oh, the game's too hard. Why doesn't the game have an easy mode? It's not accessible, which drives me up a fucking wall. And I want to kind of end this mission complete by making a call to action to folks who own a PS5 or their PS5's in the fucking mail.
Or a PS3.
Or their PS3, fucking A, dude. Because the original, by the way, everything I say in the beginner's guide totally works for the PS3 version, by the way. Just don't skip this game. I feel like, because I'm on the PS5 subreddit, and I feel like I have seen a lot of people there just not play Demon Souls because they think it's too hard, or they don't think they're gonna like it, or they think
there's a lot of baggage with this franchise, right?
Yeah,
like, just on a marketing level.
Yeah, and like, here's the deal too. Like, people also have to remember, because I was like, man, this game's so easy, and then I like thought about it for like a couple minutes, and then I was like, wait a minute, The game's not supposed to be hard. Like, the game's supposed to be a challenge. It's not designed to be a fucking hard game for no reason. I think honestly all From Software games are designed like that. They're not designed to be hard for no reason. They're designed to be like a challenge. You have to think and play Demon's Souls. You have to play it and like think about it and be on your game. That doesn't mean you can space out. I mean, granted, like Dark Souls like 1 and 3 are like my favorite podcasting games. I love to put on a podcast and just play them because they're quiet. There's like no music and just all sound effects and stuff. And I just vibe because once you learn how to play the games, you learn how to play them. And then they're just fun to go through and very relaxing. But for first-time Souls people or people who aren't into the Souls games or worried the game might be too hard, like I really, really, really encourage you to play this game. Like you owe it to yourself to play this game, especially if you have a PS5. Because I'm telling you right now, it is the fucking best game you could fucking play on it. That is exclusive for PS5. It is the fucking best game you can play.
Yep. I mean, what are you gonna do? Bug snacks? Come on, people.
Yeah. Or people are like it just like because like this video, you know, will be up in like middle of December. Like you're done with Miles Morales. You're done. I know you fuckers are done.
Oh yeah, that's a short game.
Play Demon's Souls. Play it.
You're done with the platinum already. If you play
also, yeah, real quick, can I tap on this real quick?
Yeah.
Because I only mentioned that I got the platinum, and I say that the platinum was fun in the review. But I didn't want to touch on it further because I can't platinum every game I review.
Here at Turnstyle,
I just really like Souls.
So far, we've had 2 reviews. I 100%ed Miles Morales, and you've platinumed and 4 playthrough'd Demon's Souls.
Yeah,
we are the place to come for the most in-depth.
Yeah, we're trying out here. We're trying out here. We fucking can't be the first. Subscribe so we can get review codes, please. But
that's how you ended the last mission complete. No, but you get better content.
Yes, yeah, we try to make it up for it in the content, which hopefully we've done a good job of. I think we have. But yeah, specifically about the platinum. Again, like I have complaints about so. Character tendency and world tendency are really bitchy mechanics if you do not engage with the multiplayer. As in, like, you're not in, like, a Discord, and you can't hook up with people in Demon's Souls on a moment's notice. If you can hook up with people on a moment's notice, I highly recommend, by the way, advice to people who want to get the platinum. Join the Fextra Life Discord. And you'll be able to just get games with people, and you'll be able to grind your world tendency or character tendency to pure white or pure black really fucking fast. Because if you don't do that, and if you change your world tendency or character, if you want to affect that through the single player, you have to play the game in a very fucking specific way. Because the way world tendency works is that your world tendency goes closer to black if you die in body form, and it goes closer to white if you beat a world boss. The thing is, with the exception of World 1, there's only 3 world bosses, and you need to beat at least 2 and never die once in body form to get pure white world tendency in an area. And you can just kind of fuck yourself, where it's like, hey, if I don't engage with the online, I just can't get pure white world tendency this playthrough. So I did it through single player, which requires you to fight really fucking hard NPCs and all this shit to get your character tendency up. I'm sorry, this is not making any sense if you have not played the fucking game. They're kind of bullshit mechanics. Thankfully, you just don't have to worry about them. And they're cool. Once you know how to manipulate it and you have access to friends or just people online who can help you, and there's a ton of people willing to do that because it helps them too. That would be my recommendation because you have to do a lot of manipulation to get certain trophies. But other than that, like very, very simple platinum if you know how to play the game and you're decent at Souls. And yeah, that's more or less it. Please play this fucking game.
A little bonus there with the will tendency.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because a lot of people. This happens every fucking time. I know I'm getting so off track. I know we're trying to finish the show. I get so angry because I've been here. I was in the shoe. Nothing makes a zealot like a convert, Tom, right? Like I played Dark Souls when I was 17. I got it. It was my first M-rated game I bought. I played it for 2 hours. I died a bunch. I just didn't get it. and I moved on. And then I revisited Bloodborne, and I got mad, and I couldn't beat it, and I played for 5 hours, and I couldn't beat Cleric Beast, and I gave up, and I moved on. And then I tried Dark Souls 3, and that one didn't work for me either, and I gave up, and I moved on. And then when I got my PC, I gave it another chance. I gave Dark Souls another chance, and I totally clicked with me, and I fell in love.
That's where I'm at right now. I feel like I'm throwing myself at the wall. I have every game in the franchise except 2 like available to me. I'm like, one day I'll break through 1 and the dominoes will fall, and hopefully Demon Souls with the beginner guide will help be the first.
Yeah, I think Demon Souls is a great. I mean, it is the jumping off point of the entire genre.
Literally.
So what you know, a better place to start. Personally, I think Dark Souls is still the better game overall, and I think Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 are like significantly better than Demon Souls, but that's because like From Software like learned shit and they applied what they learned, and like it's just like I
they
think
have
like
the benefit of Demon Souls existing.
Exactly, like again, like I say that it's like, yeah, it's like Demon Souls is probably my 4th favorite From Software game, but it's still amazing, and like do not let that discourage you from playing this game. Like I think we've gushed about this game enough. Please play it. It's incredible. Make sure to subscribe to Turnstyle and like this video if you like Mission Complete and you want us to do more of these, because we really like doing them. It's cool to have these spoiler fueled and filled just spewing thoughts on games. I don't feel like there's a lot of that on YouTube, like long form stuff specifically
on one game.
Yeah, and I like that we're able to do that. So make sure to subscribe, like this video, drop a comment, and we'll see you next time. Stay based.